All right, guys. Hey, welcome to the FFL Sky's the Limit call. My name is Stephen Yee. I am your host today. Before we get started and we introduce our special guests, I wanted to go over some housekeeping stuff. Here within the next week or two, it feels like we have our Kicks for Kids event with FFL USA. Sean Mike and the Dream Center, FFL and the Dream Center. We did this for the last year or two already, and it's been great. Where we basically donate shoes to underprivileged kids in LA County. So the charity event is on Sunday, June 12th at 1 p.m. at the LA Dream Center. The following day, which is Monday on the 13th, we're going to have a summer sales seminar at the Dream Center Church, right, which is like down the street. So make sure you get a chance to register, usa.fflusa.com/K4K22. All right. The other thing that I can tell you is the training is free, right? The event is free. We just need to show up. Okay. Next thing I want to talk about is our call schedule for this week. So right now we have our agency-wide call, our Sky's the Limit call. I know it is Memorial Day and most people should be working. But here at 2 p.m. later on today, David Chen's going to be leading the phone script workshop. You know, the thing that most people dread or are scared of. That's the thing that we need to do. All right. And David's going to be leading that. Tomorrow, we have our new agent orientation at 3 p.m. with myself. At 4 p.m., we're doing our leads one-on-one call. And this upcoming Thursday for our in-home clinic, it's going to be held with Robert Kakish, Hall of Fame producer and senior VP with FFL Frontline. So with that being said, I'm excited to be able to introduce our guests to every single one of you guys. I had a pleasure of, meeting him and talking to him about 2-3 weeks ago. And I've watched him from a distance. I've had a chance to watch his business grow, talk to the people that he works with. And they're like, dude, if you need someone to interview and you need to find out someone that's growing quickly and selling at a high clip, you definitely need to talk to Matt Borsh. So Matt is a Hall of Fame producer. His agency is protecting about 700 families a month currently right now. And he's been here for a short time. So please help me welcome to the call, Hall of Fame producer, Matt Borsh. Hey, Matt.
Thanks for having me, man. Happy Memorial Day.
Yeah, likewise. And thank you for hopping on. And before we dive into it, right, that's one of the things that I never really understood. Maybe it's because, you're self-employed for such a long time and all that. It's like we're entrepreneurs. Like there isn't really a holiday. It's just a normal day for us. Right. And so, but that's just me. Anyways, hey, so for people that don't know your story, right? Like, can you kind of share with us your background, how you fell into Family First Life, all that good stuff. Like, what did you do prior? How long you've been here? How you found the company, all that stuff?
Yeah, I would love to. First of all, I'm 26, so not a ton of backstory to be had, but just kind of sharing as much as I can. I've been with FFL, and then this is the first experience for me in life insurance as well. So I've been here for just 2 years now. June was the first week of June was the first family that I protected in 2020. So we're just at the 2-year mark now. Prior to that, I was in the lawn care industry in sales. Did door-to-door sales for 3 years. Yeah, lawn care, man. Give me your credit card. I'll take care of your weeds, or maybe at least. It's not my job. So yeah, that was door-to-door through college. Did that for 3 years. And then same company, different position. When I graduated, got married, took an account manager role. I just went to a real small Christian college, studied secondary education, and found out that I don't have the required patience to work with kids. I enjoy teaching, but that's some next level patience that I'm working on, but didn't quite have. So I kind of stayed pursuing the sales industry. I just was kind of looking at, I don't have any obvious incredible talents, or obviously any big degree or anything like that. But what I saw in sales is the ability to prove yourself, the ability to kind of go out and make your own living. If you're good at it, then you get paid, So that's what I was doing for 6 years. I got married to my beautiful wife, Cynthia. We've been married 4 years now.
Congratulations.
And anyway, thanks, man. Thanks. So spring 2020, I should say. Caleb, Ambrose, Gabe Erickson, buddies of mine for a long time from school, then college. approached me with this pyramid scheme. They were like, hey, you can go out there and make as much in a day in a week as you're making in a whole month at your current job. They were showing me the paychecks and the deposits to prove it, you know, back before the old FTC started hammering us, right? But no, they were showing me this, and you know, I was 24 at the time. I knew everything. I knew that salary plus commission sales was the way to go, and that this new thing they were getting into just it didn't seem right to me. Like, I was like, there's no way that you can make that much money and it's stable, and like, I don't know. It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense at the time. All kinds of red flags were going up for me, but I wasn't happy where I was at. And my wife and I weren't really making progress towards, you know, the goals that we had set for ourselves. We were just kind of, you know, paying the bills, but not getting ahead. Right. You know, I feel like that's a lot of people's story. And so that's where we were at. I was trying to figure out what that next move was for me. Couldn't figure it out. They approached me with this. I was like, I don't know, guys, that doesn't make sense. But at least I looked into it. And when I saw that I didn't have to sign any contracts, and I could do it part-time on the weekends. You know, my sales account manager job was just Monday through Friday. So I was like, well, let me at least give it a shot and prove that they're idiots, right? So that got contracted and then started part-time in June 2020. Ordered me some game time leads, called through them all once, booked a grand total of 4 appointments, and decided that the leads sucked, but I still ran those 4 appointments and didn't help any of those families. And I was like, oh, so I can't do this then, huh? But I was like, you know what? It was just one weekend. Let me try again. Right. So, you know, the definition of insanity, did the exact same thing, put the exact same minimum effort in again the next weekend, saw the exact same results.
I love
4 appointments, no sales, no families protected whatsoever. I wasn't, you know, and just, you know, where we were at the time, I wasn't door knocking. I was not texting the clients, like nothing. It was very silly, you know, obvious to me looking back now why I wasn't seeing any results, right? But at least I was reaching out and staying plugged in. And Gabe noticed that. So he was like, hey, I've got this appointment I can't make it to. It's Wednesday night. When you're done with work, can you go run it? It's 20 minutes from your house. I was like, sure, whatever, fine. I'll go do it. Go out there, screw everything up. Didn't log into AMAM before I decided. Gabe told me that I needed to look at AMAM, and I'm in there for, it was a little over 2 hours, but super nice couple, knew they needed it, and I helped them both out. The commissions from helping those 2 people out were equivalent to a 2-week paycheck at my current job.
Right.
And like, I wasn't making bank, but, you know, I was grossing 70, 75 at that job, you know, and if I had a killer sales year, maybe I could push 80, right? And so then I saw that. I was like, okay, I screwed everything up, absolutely sucked, but I just kept at it, and they knew they needed it, and it worked. And so that was the validation that I was looking for, to be like, okay, well, maybe I won't ever do this on the level that Caleb or Gabe are doing it at, but if I do half of what they're doing, I'm still making more than where I'm currently at, and I didn't hate it. So let me jump in. So turned in my 2 weeks notice, much to the chagrin of my current boss, who was a friend and father figure. He was like, man, you're throwing your life away. Like, if you're not going to stay here, at least go somewhere where you can still pay the bills, but don't jump into something like that. I've done stuff like that before. And he was saying it out of, you know, love, obviously that, you know, it's not loving to say that to someone, but yeah, so I jumped in full-time July 1st, 2020. From July 1st to the end of that year, obviously this is a business, right? So I netted more in this business than my wife and I grossed the entire previous year in 2019. And I sucked. I mean, I wasn't good. I made every mistake in the book you can think of, whether it's leads or schedule, or, you know, we can talk about every mistake there is, but that's how crazy this industry is and this opportunity is here at FFL, that as long as you keep going, it's going to work.
I love that, man.
So that's the start.
you said something earlier, like a father figure, or a guy that you worked with. Like, I saw something the other day that was like, just because they love you doesn't mean they're going to give you sound advice. And like that hit home, because like when I got my insurance license, my mom, she ran a little mom and pop, boutique business too, but she was like, oh my gosh, like, what did you get yourself into? Like, please don't do that. Like, you're going to dig yourself in a grave. I'm like, what the heck? Right. And now it's kind of like, we knew you can do it. Like, we're so happy for you. And I'm like, what changed? Right. But I say that, Matt, because like sometimes our loved ones, like, although they think they're trying to protect us, it's almost like they turn themselves into an enemy that allowed us to push ourselves into the success that we have.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was very unique. But I wanted to ask you, like, your first week you bought leads, you didn't make any sales. What made you do it again?
I saw what these guys were doing, and I think a lot of people on this call will understand the saying this isn't like a pride thing. It's, hey, if they can do it, I can at least do it to some extent.
Right.
And just the fact that, okay, these guys are crushing it. These are the leads they're running, and they're crushing it. So I think it was a little bit of a pride thing in the sense that, okay, I'm not going to get out of this without at least making my money back.
Right.
But then it was also the kind of competitive edge of, hey, if they're doing, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna figure it out. And
right.
So I think that's what it was. And just also the fact that, I had never spent money to make money before. So, with a wife and a mortgage, like I need to make this back. I can't just give up. Like,
right.
How is that? How does that make any sense? So I think it was a mix of a couple different things, but I think that's what it boils down to.
Got it. And so like you went 2 weeks without a sale.
Well, I mean, 8 appointments.
So. Right. But I'm
2
saying
weeks
this,
of time.
Right. 8 appointments, by the way, is like 1 day for most people now, right?
Yeah.
Especially if you actually book a full-time schedule. But what I'm asking is, like, there's so many people on this call that after 4 days, they would have been like, I'm out. This doesn't work. Why did you not quit? Yeah, you knew Caleb, you knew Gabe and all that, but it's like 2 weeks of no results. You're like, well, that's a lot of waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I don't know if I'm breaking up or you are. I'm on the best Wi-Fi I could find. I'll put it that way. But yeah, no, I think it's just the pride and the dedication of, I'm going to make this work no matter what. It may not be the thing that I end up doing, but I'm going to make it happen.
Right.
So I don't think it's that complicated. I wish I could give you something profound, but I think it was just the fact that, hey, I'm spending this, 500, 550, whatever it was per batch. I've spent $1,000. What am I going to do? Just throw in the towel?
Right.
Like I didn't get anything out of it. So let me at least make that back. And I didn't hate what I was doing. I just wanted to see it click. And, just like even if you look at this thing like a job, you don't figure out the job in the first 2 weeks.
Right.
Like that's not the thing that happens in any industry or any job. So just wanting to make sure I gave it a fair shot.
I love that. And see, like, I say that because, like, I was that guy. Like Matt, my first 14 appointments, I went 0 for 14. And people were like, why didn't you quit? And I'm like, because I knew Joe and Trey, and if they figured it out, I was going to find a way to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, that was like my only answer. And I was like, I knew what they were making. And I'm like, I knew I wasn't very good, but as long as I didn't quit, like, this would all work itself out one way or the other. Right. So, cool. So when you first got started, 6 months, you did pretty well. When you made a decision to go Hall of Fame, what clicked?
Yeah. So that first 6 months was, I think, me kind of growing up in a lot of ways, just as a human, as a man, as a business owner, and then as an insurance agent. It was a lot of maturing for me in a lot of different ways. So I was figuring out a lot of different struggles, how to be consistent, even when you have some money in the bank account, not working from behind, and staying consistent even when you had a couple 4 figures sitting in the bank account, and, oh, it's Memorial Day, I don't have to work because
Right.
I'm good. Right. Growing out of those kind of mindsets. And then once I saw what that could do, the issue paid report for the first year, I helped 230 families in 6 months. So I was like, okay, well, just if I figured all this out and screwed up so much, then that means I just got to at least, do the same thing, if not a little bit more.
Right.
And by that point, I was starting to wise up as well. What I mean by that is I was very selfish. I literally told Gabe when I started, I was like, I'm never going to tell anyone about this. My first question that I asked him was, do I have to sell friends and family, or do I ever have to recruit anyone? That was my first question.
Those
right.
are my 2
And so,
too.
and so those first 6 months were me growing up and realizing, okay, if an average schmuck like me can make this thing work to this extent, why would I not tell other people about it? I'm not doing it for me, right? Because I think there's 2 ways to recruit. You can recruit from the, hey, what can you do for me? Right. And we've all seen that doesn't work. Whether we've tried it or seen other people try it, that doesn't work. And that's not how FFL works either. That's why it doesn't work here. Because if you try to recruit that way, it's not going to work out. You're never going to have any people to help. But if you recruit from the sense of how many agents can I possibly help change their situation and reach their goals, that's where it works out. That's where a team starts to form. That's where this thing gets really, really fun. And so that's where around the turn of the year, I started having those aha moments. And so I realized that, okay, if I'm going to have a team and I'm going to lead from the front and I'm going to build any size business, obviously by that time I was starting to understand what integrity meant and what that could do for my family and others. So I realized, okay, it's non-negotiable for me to hit Hall of Fame. Like, that's not like the way I look at it, this business, I know you'll be able to relate. You've been here longer than I have. A month here at FFL is a year in the real world.
Oh, 100%.
And I could take a lie detector test and that would like ring as truth. Like, that's how much I believe that statement. And so I realized I'm not going to give up 12 years of hard work because I wasn't focused or committed or intentional. You see so many people in December scrambling to help enough families before Christmas and New Year's, and it's always sad to me. It's like, really? You didn't know that Christmas and New Year's were coming back in May? Like, you couldn't protect just one extra family a week so you didn't have to run 45 appointments between Christmas and New Year's and just pray that America issues that business? So those were some of the thoughts that I had going into 21 is, okay, I want to build a big business. What does that look like? Well, it's, I didn't reinvent anything. It was all just copy paste. And Sean Mike says, well, you got to lead from the front. Integrity is not going to want you if you don't know how to hit Hall of Fame and help a lot of clients, and then help a bunch of agents, help a bunch of clients.
Right.
So that's kind of what 2021 was for me, was just writing a bunch of business, helping a bunch of families so that I could lead from the front, prove that it works, be able to share that with others and throw all the money back into the business to learn all the lessons that building a business requires and all the tens of thousands of dollars that those lessons require. So that's what 2021 was, just figuring it out, leading from the front, shoveling it all back in.
I love it. And see, like, you said something like, how did you not know Christmas and New Year's was coming up? Right. Like, but like Sean says this all the time, like, that's why capitalism works. You know what I mean? Like, people do know. It's just that when you don't have proper financial literacy, you spend everything you have. You don't save for a rainy day. You don't have 6 months in bills ready to go. You don't have, like, you put Christmas and all that on a credit card, knowing that there's a 23% interest rate on there. You know what I mean? Like, they do that. And it's like, I'm so thankful for Family First Life. Like, we just had our call with Sean every Monday morning. And it's like, he said something. He was like, on 100% contract, if someone sold, $1,000 policy, they would make $750 in like 2 days. Right. And we can post about that. Right. And he was like, we used to do this like 10 times a week. Like, do you understand you can write yourself out of your bills in like a month? That's what messes people up here, is because it's so easy that you fall into the trap that you're like, I can do it. I can do it when it comes. No, it's like, but nobody likes to be under that type of pressure. You know what I mean? So that's great, man. I love it. What is this? What's the stuff that you do in the home that you think allows you to close at such a high clip?
Well, I don't really.
Okay.
My close rate's 57, 58% lifetime
Good
in
to
2
know.
years. That's
For
so
all
it's
ages.
not, I mean, it's not insane. You know, and my sit rate's 60, 65. I'm virtual now, so obviously it's dropping there, but I was in the field for the first year and a half.
Right.
So yeah, it's none of it was any crazy numbers, but you know your numbers, and it's a business, so just, you know, follow the numbers. That's
Right.
It's just a math equation at that point, and you just have to keep doing it. And you have to, and that both, and that should help you. You can use it to hurt you, but you can also use it to help you in the sense of, if you have a bad day or a bad week, I find it took me a while, but I finally got to the point where it actually got me excited, because I knew my numbers, so that I knew that if I didn't help 5 families in a row that I sat with, that the next 5 families, it was going to be great.
Come on,
I
right.
just had to get there and not be an idiot and not screw it up and not get in my head and not have a crappy attitude. You know, I knew that if it was just a day full of people no showing and rescheduling, that, hey, as long as I had appointments on the schedule the next day, it's going to work out. And then if I had a whole week where 4 run days in a row, none of them worked out, I got real excited. I'm like, oh man,
Next
the
week's
field
game
really
on.
owes me. You know, you hear
Yeah.
that all the time, but the numbers always work out every month. Every month your numbers work out. But so many agents, they'll have a bad day, or especially the bad weeks. That's where it gets to people, when they run 25, 30 appointments and they don't help as many families as they think they should have. And so then they let that, maybe they don't let it affect their activity the next week, but it affects their mindset. And so they have the same activity, but the mindset sucks. So it doesn't matter. They might as well have just stayed home, because they're not going to help anyone, because they're too focused on themselves. And then from there, now you've had 2 bad weeks in a row. Now it's starting to affect your activity. And you've seen this time and time again. I know it's a bad week, but they're like, oh, I'm still going to do it. Steve, I'm not quitting yet. I got this. Then the next week they go out there focused on themselves and their bank account, and everything's about them. Maybe even subconsciously, you know, they're not, you know, we've all been in this point where you're not going out there purposely concerned about yourself, but you're not actively putting the client first and trying to help that family that you're with. And so then you don't help anyone. Now you have, if you're anywhere within the first 6 months of this business, you probably don't have any money at that point, and you're freaking out and you're rethinking everything. You're like, oh, Steve, what leads should I buy? Because these aren't working anymore. And oh, you're rethinking everything, and chargebacks all of a sudden become a problem, even though you hadn't noticed them the past couple of weeks. But now those attachment emails from America are freaking you out every morning when you wake up, you know. So it's just a doom loop that you can get stuck in if you don't focus. Sorry, that was a rabbit trail. I don't remember how we got off on that.
No.
But if you don't focus on helping that family, oh, the numbers, the closing rate, that's how we got on that one.
Yeah, but see, like, you know what's so funny is, like, although what you're talking about is real, by the way, I was like the opposite of that. I was like, I had a good week. So you know what that means, Matt? A bad one's coming.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, if I protected 15, 20 families this week, I was like, uh-oh, that means next week I'm going to suck, which almost like mind effed me to like work double as hard the following week, because I knew the numbers were going to be bad. So I had to average the numbers out, if that kind of makes sense. Right? Like,
yeah, of course.
And see, like, that's why, like, sometimes when people are like, they have great weeks, I'm like, oh, they're going to feel it, because that means a bad one's coming. It's just the numbers. But like, if you can outwork the bad weeks, like I learned this, I believe, from Paul. It's like, you can have a bad week, bad day. You might have a bad day. You may have a bad week, but you can't have a bad month. You can't have 30 days of bad days. It's not possible. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not. And so the numbers and the numbers, it's just what it is. So, but that's so interesting that you say that. Like, it's fascinating because I asked everybody that's a Hall of Fame producer that question purposely. It's always loaded. It's like, what's your closing rate? And everybody, time and time again, it's like, no, it's not that high. Actually, it's like 50%. Most people that are brand new think that Hall of Fame producers close at like an 85, 90% clip. And I'm like, no, that's not true. Far from it, you know? But like share with us your in-home structure. How do you set the table? Like, how are you a top-down seller? Do you give them 3 options? Like, how do you do all that stuff?
100%. So I'm really, 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 really bad at overcoming objections. They fluster me. They get me frustrated. For a while, I've gotten better at working on it, but I'm pretty sure it would just light up on my face because looking back, I could see it in the client's face because they would say something stupid. And then my face would tell them that I think they just said something stupid. And then from there, it's all downhill. So I tried to set up every one of my in-homes with the sole purpose of pulling out every single stupid little objection that's going to come up. Right. So that way, when we get down to it, they have no choice but to make a good decision for their family.
Right.
And so that's the whole mindset and thought process going into it is how do I make this just the most obvious, logical decision possible for them to protect their family. So that's the mindset going into it because that's where it starts, right? Is the mindset in this business. Going in, I'm setting the table, just very, very clear. I prefer mortgage protection. Obviously, you got to have a diversification of lead flow. Prefer mortgage protection. So I'll just run through that one real quick. So it's, and I do it the same, whether it's virtual or in-home, I do it exactly the same. Nothing changed. The only thing that changes is your show rates and that's it. So, Steven, sorry, I forget your wife's name. Is it Julie?
Janelle.
I don't remember. Janelle, dang it. Sorry. So Steve, Janelle, nice to meet you guys. Here's my license, letting you know I'm certified here with the state of Nevada to help you with the coverage today. Obviously, I'm out here to talk to you guys about the mortgage protection, making sure that you guys are covered no matter what happens to you. This is the form you filled out, or if it's a call-in lead, obviously those are a little more vague. So I'm just referencing the loan there. So just to confirm that I've got the right file here on you guys, loan with Quicken Loans here for $375. Is that correct?
Yep.
Awesome. Got it. So this is what we're going to be handling for you guys today. This is just a one and done, Steve. So in other words, you're not going to have to see me multiple times. You're actually not going to have to pee in a cup or see a physician at any point in this process. There's just a one-time meeting where we're going to close out your file one of two ways. We're going to go through this questionnaire. It'll take about 6 minutes to go over your health and your budget. Your health is going to help me figure out what you might qualify for. All the qualifications for this is based off of health, not your credit score. So you can breathe easy. Your credit's not going to get checked again. That's fine. They just care about your health, making sure how healthy you are for these coverages. And we're going to go over your budget because, Steve, I don't want to waste your guys' time going through 20 minutes of this only to show you options that you can't afford. All right, you just bought the house. You got all these random stuff popping up. You're trying to figure out your budget. We have to make sure that whatever we look at today is going to fit in that budget without putting you guys on a ramen noodle diet. So we're going to go through about 6-7 minutes of these health and budget questions. Make sure it's something you can qualify for, something you can afford. And then from there, we're going to do one of two things. Once we look at the options, think about it and answer any questions that you have. We're going to either apply for one of those options, see if we can get you approved, or you can decline the coverage, say, Matt, I don't want mortgage protection. Either one's totally fine by me. I don't get a raise or get fired depending on what you do. My job is to find the best option for you guys available here in the state of Nevada. And once we find that, I'll help you apply and get approved. Is that fair?
Yep.
Awesome. So now we've just explained who I am, what we're there to do, how we're going to do it, and making sure that, hey, I'm on your side. We're looking at everyone that offers mortgage protection here in the state of Nevada to make sure we find the best one available to you. And so there, I'm just jumping into financial inventory. Don't overthink the financial inventory. Just go through all of it. Obviously, as you get better, you'll develop more rapport with the different questions that you ask. And, that's, I'm not a rapport guy at all. I'll do that as we go. So, when they say they work somewhere, how long you've been there. If manager or director is anywhere in their title, I'll say, oh, so you're a professional babysitter, huh? So just stuff like that to try to pull out some personality or something to get them, to everyone's always, when you're first sitting down, for the most part, you can tell they're a little defensive. They're a little wary. They're like, okay, why is this guy here? I thought I was done. So, I'm just trying to keep the guard down and hey, I'm here to help you. And so that's my mindset, and that's what I'm trying to convey through all my tones, body language, word tracks throughout the whole opening, and then financial inventory. From there, I'm running a pre-screening. If you're not using the pre-screening tool in America, I think you're a fool because it literally causes you not to be able to help families. Like if you tell someone about living benefits and they're not going to qualify, like you're not going to help them. Like that's not a thing that can happen. So anyway, so you run the pre-screening, you figure out what you're going to show them. You run your quotes, and I will write down the quotes almost like we're in 4th grade taking a test, and I don't want you to see what I'm writing down. I will not let them see what we are looking at without context. So I'm going to write those options, and then something that I had to put in place for myself in my personality is I do not show options until it's gotten awkward. So what I mean by that is I'm not a great Brian Mendenhall, here's my life story, make you cry kind of a personality. So what I do is opening, set the table. Here's what we're doing today. Financial inventory, make sure I understand everything about their situation, both health and finances. From there, I've got the answers. I know that they're going to be approved, or at least we have a good shot at whatever I'm writing down. And then from there, I don't let them see it. That's when I look at them. Last question for you guys. Janelle, this is an awkward one. But I ask every single family I sit with this question because most people, unfortunately, they don't think about this kind of a thing until it's too late, right? You can't be on the side of the road with a messed up car calling State Farm asking for car insurance. That's not how it works, right? You guys might not think that you need this today, but that's the point because you can't get it when you need it. So that's what we're doing today. So Janelle, tomorrow, Steven's normally home what, 6:30? Okay, yeah. So it's 7:30. He's still not home. He's not answering the phone. You're starting to have some really unpleasant thoughts as to why he's not home and not letting you know. You get that call, and it's the hospital saying, hey, we found your number and emergency contacts on Steve's phone. He was in a bad accident. He's here in the emergency room. Janelle, you're grabbing the kids. You're throwing them in the car. Probably didn't even put the dog in the crate because you were so distracted. You're rushing to the hospital, breaking every speed limit, running every red light that you can with your flashers on. We don't know if he's going to make it, let alone if he's going back to work. How do you guys get through that financially? What does that look like for you? And then I sit back, look them in the eye, and I just wait to see what they're going to say. That makes it awkward. It makes it awkward on a call like this. It just saying that kind of a thing makes it awkward. So that's what I mean. I will not allow myself to show options unless it's been awkward. And you'll try to fool yourself. You'll think, oh, this person has money. They get finances. They get logic, right? Oh, this person's older. They just told me they lost someone last month. So they're going to get this. No problem. I can save time. I don't have to do this. You're kidding yourself every time. You make it awkward. You make sure that they go down that thought process until you get to the point where there's not any answers, right? Because the first thing they say might not be, oh, hey, I'm screwed, we're losing the house, right? A lot of people will be like, oh, we would figure it out. Hey, yep, Steven, I respect that. But unfortunately, like you can't figure it out because you're in the ER. And Janelle's got 2 kids and she's freaking out. She's not sure what she's going to do. And she needs to be the one that is able to answer this. Where do you guys go? Because it looks like your budget's getting cut in half because we know that short-term, long-term disability aren't taking care of you like what you need. And then health insurance doesn't give you money. It just discounts your new bills. You already have all your regular bills, plus these extra ones. You're making less money. How do you guys get through that? So once you've gotten to that point, you already have your quotes ran. So now it's like, all right, Steve, which one of these options do you guys think makes the most sense to make sure you don't have to, we can't keep this situation from happening, but we can at least make sure you have an answer for it financially. Which one do you think makes the most sense for you guys based on the coverage that you're looking for and making sure it fits in the budget without making you lose a car or only eat ramen going forward? And if you've done your job well to that point, you've set the table properly, you've gone through a good financial inventory, and you've gotten awkward, 9 times out of 10, they just point at one.
Right.
And so that's all it is. And that's how you close at a high percentage, right? Just because you figured out their situation and showed them something that's gonna help them.
I love that because I never put it that way, but I'm like, when you were like, yeah, I'm going to write my notes and cover them. I'm like, what I used to do, Matt, was I used to write like crap on purpose. So they
Oh,
couldn't,
there you go.
you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
but I'm like, the reasoning is because they don't need to know what's on my paper yet. Right. And I almost wanted to like sit on the edge of their seat and like peek over to like look at what I'm doing on purpose. Like, I'm not going to talk to them during that time frame because I want it, like you said, to be awkward, like really awkward. Right. And like that awkward silence thing. And like you said something like you're role playing, you dive into it. Okay, perfect. Steve, you know, if Steve doesn't come home, what are you going to do? Like, most people think it's cheesy, but it's like, it's not cheesy when it actually happens, though. You know what I mean? Like,
And even if it was cheesy, can it be cheesy to protect a family?
right. You know what I mean?
Like,
Because that day, unfortunately, might come for some of our clients. And so that's why I'm like, preparation, right? Like, and see, like, I use, I'm like so direct, it's horrible. I'm like, do you see how flustered she is? Yeah. Dude, you're still here, by the way. You're not dead yet. She's flustered with you here. Imagine when you're not. You know what I mean? Like, you can make decisions right now. You're comprehending things, but like when you're actually not here and you make you make all the income and she doesn't make anything, all these negative thoughts are going to be creeping in her mind. Everybody grieves differently. 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, 2 years. It depends. There's no set number, you know? And it's like, and then like, that's what makes you really good, Matt. Like, I'm watching your in-home presentation. I'm like, I'd buy. Like, your in-home presentation mimics almost all the Hall of Fame producers that I've seen, you know? And like you said, you're, what we do here is not difficult. It's once you understand a few of these things, you can mimic it, put your own flavor on it because it's your style. Now it's boom, Matt's presentation. You
yeah,
know?
that's all it is. It's just copy paste. Nothing I've ever done in this business has been original to me. I knew I needed to hit Hall of Fame, and I knew there were hundreds of people that have already done it. So, okay, well, what are they doing?
Right.
You just splice it all together with whatever eventually feels comfortable to you after you've run the numbers, and it works. Like, I'm sure there's something in there that's from you. I've watched all kinds of every training video you've done, so you
I was
probably
gonna say,
noticed something in there.
Where did you pick up the apply decline stuff from?
Dude, I don't know at this point. I have no idea. When
That's
you
fine.
watch as many hundreds and hundreds of videos and hours of training and stuff, I can't tell you what I've made up, what is from a training video or a conference or a convention or a phone call. It's hard to say. It's just because you immerse yourself in it to get as good as you can as quick as possible. If you want to win, that's all it is.
The reason why I say that is because, dude, that apply decline literally changed my business. Joe Miller is the one that taught it to me, and you know, I've been sharing that thing for like for years because it's like my first 14 appointments. Every single one of my clients was like, "I need to think about it," and I was like, "Okay," and I just pack my stuff and leave.
Yeah.
And then like you get to a point where you're like, no, you're not going to think about it. You're going to make a decision today. You're either going to apply or decline. I really don't care. You know what I mean? So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, that's great, man. I love the in-home structure. What is the most common objection you think you hear in the home or on virtual?
It's always going to be think about it, because that's such a vague, objection. But basically, something that I learned over time to understand is if you get an objection, that's your fault.
Right.
So I still do. I get so mad because it's coming. Before they say it, you can see it all over them.
Right.
It's coming. And when I get to that point where I realize I've screwed up, I missed something, I'm immediately getting so mad at myself because I know what I missed, what I skipped because I was lazy or distracted or replying to a text or, whatever. Like I thought, oh, I don't have to do it this time. But yeah, it's always going to be, I'm going to think about it. And at that point, in my mind, at least, it's lost. So I'm going to, and it's my fault, so I'm not trying to, I'm doing the classic, 3 steps, I think is it Paul McLean, John Wetmore, one of them, or Matt Smith, that's what it is, where, hey, do you understand the coverage, how it works? Okay. Any issues with me, I can send someone else out, if I'm too weird. Okay. And then price, is that the issue? And then, okay, let's lower the coverage, something like that. But honestly, at that point, I feel like it's lost, and you got to give it your best shot to overcome the objection. But at that point, that's a learning experience, and you gotta figure it out, and help the next family.
I love it. Yeah, man. That's, I feel like here's the funny part. There's only so many objections. You know what I mean? Like our Trey Honeycutt says this all the time. Like, our clients don't come together to conferences and try to learn new objections to give us, but we come together as a sales force to be able to learn how to overcome their objections. And I say that because, like, once you understand how to overcome those objections and you're like ready for one, they almost like never come anymore.
Right.
That's like the craziest thing ever.
Yeah. And then David said in the chat, like, obviously I'm not saying that it's, you just give up and walk out at that point. I'm trying to stress, especially to newer agents, that, hey, that's on you, not the client.
Right.
Because so many times you think, oh, they're idiots. Oh, they didn't hear me when I said apply, decline. Did you, right? Someone will try to say, oh, did you hear me at the beginning when we said apply or decline and you agreed? Like, what are they going to be like? Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, we'll apply. Like, no, that's not the great way. So at that point, you're understanding, hey, I did something wrong here. I need to figure out what I did wrong and I need to improve. But obviously, yeah, at that point, you're definitely spending time to figure out, okay, where did I go wrong? Am I showing them too high a price because I didn't go through a good financial inventory? Did I not get emotional? Okay, well, let me try to backtrack at that point and get emotional, start asking the right questions to bring in emotion. But yeah, that was my point there, is you don't want to just pack up and call it a day, but in your mind, hey, I got a learning experience from this. That's where you're getting out of that one, and you're calling someone that can call you out on your crap.
Right. I love that. Cool. So how much, so now you're selling virtually. When did you make that switch?
Made it beginning of this year. I'm blessed to have a business partner, Mike Irvling. He was actually my boss when I first worked at the True Green door to door in the lawn care industry. So that worked out real well. That's a whole other story. I'm happy to share some other time. But so we decided that as the business is growing, we partnered because we have very complementary strengths and weaknesses. And I needed to be able to focus on staff, hiring more staff, helping our managers grow. But I still have to run appointments. And just with the way my lead flow was set up, I was driving 2-3 hours one way every day to go run all these different places around me, because we have so many people in Northwest Indiana, Chicago on our team that's just you can't just like grab mortgage protection leads in the next county necessarily. Right. So that's why I decided to go virtual, was so I could still run the right amount of appointments, still fund the business, still lead from the front, but then also be able, when you get that no show or that reschedule, okay, hey, I'm making some recruiting calls, working with this recruiter, working with this manager to find some more staff, et cetera. So that it was a real simple decision for me. It was, I actually prefer in-home much more over virtually. Mm-hmm. I think it's more effective for protecting families. Not that virtual can't be done, but I just, efficient, I guess I should say, not effective, efficient. You're going to sit with more people, you're going to help more people. So anyway, that's why I made the switch. Was just with where the business was at, being able to be more involved in the staff side of things and office side of things there.
Got it. Yeah, because one of the things that we've seen in our group, it's like virtual is great, but it's way tougher to learn. And if you don't have mm-hmm. any home experience, dude, virtual is tough, right? Yeah. Because you don't understand.
It's brutal, yeah.
You don't understand how to do the e-apps, and if there's any uncertainty in what you're doing, you automatically lose a sale because they just hang up, right? So I love that. As we wrap this up, Matt, you said that you learned a lot of things not to do, right? If you were recruiting yourself again as a brand new agent, you can go, hey, these are 3 things that I wouldn't do and these are three things that I would do immediately, what would those things be?
Absolutely. My business partner, Mike, and I actually put on paper, none of it was original to us, but just from all the different videos and trainings and everything that we've heard, witnessed ourselves, and then seen, just 6 basic steps that if you follow every step for 30 days in a row, you will help a minimum, and you'll have to, a minimum of 15 families, even if it's your first month, just because what we do here is so copy paste, so cookie cutter. If you have a good attitude and work hard and you're coachable, it's going to work out. So I guess I could just run through those because those I've got right off the top of my head. The first one is consistently work hard. Obviously, if you ask 10 people on the street if they're a hard worker, you're going to get 10 yeses. So what that means in our business, right, is if it's a dial day, you're making 500 plus dials or booking 15 plus appointments for the next 48 hours.
Right.
That's hard work on a dial day. And if it's a run day, you're running 8 appointments. That's a full run day or more. And if you don't have 8 appointments, that means it's not a full day of work, but you still have to work hard. So you're dialing and door knocking to supplement, get extra activity in. So that way the next day can be more productive. So that's working hard. You have to consistently buy leads. So many new people. Again, I struggle with every one of these. That's why when you asked it that way, it was just like, hey, well, I messed everyone up. So you'll buy a batch of leads and you're a W-2 mindset. So you think, oh, I can't invest into my business more until I've made money.
Right.
Right. Because that was the mindset I had. Oh, I spent $500. Now, did I go back and rework the leads like any sane person would have? No, no, at least not right away.
Right.
But, you know, the new agent will buy some leads and then they won't invest into any more until they deem appropriate, which is typically never or not for a long time.
Right.
Every dial day, you have new to you leads to work. They don't have to be brand new, fresh $80 mortgage protection, but they have to be leads that you have not called. Because if you worked hard on the dial day, like we already talked about, you would have already called through all of those at least 9 times and texted them all.
Right.
So that's number 2. You have to consistently buy leads, have new to you leads every dial day. You have to reach out daily. Our business is structured to where uplines, managers, mentors, whatever you want to call them, no one wins if you're not making a bunch of money. So reach out every day in the home. And if you have a calendar appointment that you do not help, you're reaching out afterwards for any reason. So if you're working, you'll find yourself out reaching out every day because you're either going to be in an appointment that you need help with because you don't know anything, or you're not going to close every single appointment that you have in your calendar. So that means you have something to learn. And then from there, number 4, you have to see this as a business. So many people coming into this have never been business owners, have never been entrepreneurs. You have to see this as a business. It's not Uber. You can't just pick it up, drop it whenever you want.
Right.
That's how I treated it at the beginning. You know, it's not a side hustle where, you know, you can just kind of do it when you want to, but you don't really want to, right, this weekend or whatever. This business either helps or hurts you. There's no middle ground, no middle ground. And so if you don't understand that, if you don't see this as a business, it's not going to help you. The 5th one is plugging in 3 ways. You're on live dials every time you're dialing the phone. There are so many live dial groups. There's no reason not to be. Right. You're on every single training call that your agency does without fail with your camera on, because the only reason you don't have your camera on is if you're not paying attention on a Zoom call. It's the only reason. And then on run, those are both dial days. On a run day, you're watching 3 training videos or podcasts, not 20 and not 0. You're not drinking from a fire hydrant, but you're also not just listening to music all day. Because if you watch, I feel like 3 is the magic number because you can actually take something and apply it that day to your business. Because at a certain point, you know, you just get numb to it. You get numb to all the information. Right. That's plugging in. And then the last one, I'll shut up. Number 6, don't give yourself an out. No one, absolutely 0 people fail at FFL. They only quit.
Right.
They only quit. What we do is way too simple, not easy. It's simple. What we do is way too simple. Anyone from any walk of life in any stage of life can take FFL and absolutely make it a massive success for their family. But if you give yourself an out, even if it's just a little bit of, oh, I'll give this a try, I'll see if this works, that's a virus that will infect your mentality, which will then affect your activity, which will then push you out of the business. So you have to understand, even if you're part-time, you can be fully committed to, hey, this is going to work for me no matter what. I'm going to make this work for me no matter what. And if you have that mindset, that's where you see it. So those are just 6 things. You're just working hard, consistently buying leads, reaching out daily. You're seeing this as a business, being organized. You're plugging in, and you don't give yourself an out. You do all 6 of those things 30 days in a row, you will have enough money to keep going.
Right.
And you keep doing that, and it'll roll into a ton of families helped and a massive success.
I love that. Yep. I have nothing else to add. Matt, I appreciate you, man. That was such a
absolutely, man.
That's a great way to end the call. Like, I love it when you say there's no failures, only quitters. I'm like, yeah, that's actually really good, because that's so true. Like, there's no such thing as failing here at FFL. Only if you quit. And that's because you didn't give yourself enough time to get there. That's so great. Matt, once again, thank you. I appreciate you for hopping on, and
absolutely
on Memorial Day to
share
our team.
Of course.
Hey guys, just wanted to let you guys know, later on today at 2 p.m., David Chen's going to be doing our phone script workshop, right? So the thing that most people dread, that most people are scared of, David's going to go through every objection possible for face-to-face and virtual. For those of you that do not know who David is, David joined FFL December of previous year, and in his first full year protected 350 families, right? Which is awesome. So he's going to be leading that at 2 p.m. The link for that is fflskypzoom.com. Hopefully you guys hop on and do all that good stuff. But Matt, once again, thank you so much for hopping on. And although it is, Memorial Day, what I can tell you, and my text messages are blown up, everybody's picking up the phone. Why? Because telemarketers do not call on Memorial Day. So you'll get your dials and appointments set quickly. But Matt, once again, thank you. I appreciate you, brother. If I can do anything to return the favor, please let me know.